At the 1924 Summer Olympics held in Paris, United States beat the other two competitors in the rugby tournament, winning the gold entries. In September 1923, the U.S. Olympic Committee once again agreed to send an American rugby team to the 1924 Paris Olympics to defend the title. The French Olympic Committee had scheduled the rugby event to kick off the 1924 Paris Games, and Romania and the USA were to provide only token opposition for the European champions, France. The team was picked to win the gold medal in grand style. A Stanford All-American halfback, Norman Cleveland, who was one of the first athletes to respond to the call put out through the press in the fall of 1923, he said, "They were looking for a punching bag. We were told to go to Paris and take our beatings like gentlemen." Nevertheless, 7 players of the 1920 team, together with a host of large American football players making up a 22-man squad, raised $20,000 and headed for England to prepare, where they were beaten 4 times in practice sessions. The coach, Charles Austin, was relying on his team's size, speed, stamina, and raw athletic ability to compensate for its technical deficiencies. USA arrival. The USA Olympic rugby team arrived in Paris, via England, on the 27th of April 1924, after a 6,000-mile journey by train, bus, ship, and ferry from Oakland, California. The young American athletes expected to be welcomed to France with kisses on both cheeks. They were unpleasantly surprised. The team was the target of hostility even before the players set foot on French soil. French journalists branded them street fighters and saloon brawlers, after a brouhaha in the port of Boulogne where immigration officials mistakenly refused the team entry, and the players, many of whom had been seasick during the turbulent crossing, forced the way off the ship onto dry land. The American rugby players' reputation only deteriorated when Paris authorities cancelled previously arranged games against local club teams and restricted American workouts to a patch of scrubland next to the hotel. The players responded by marching down to Columbia's stadium, scaling the fence, and going through the paces on the hallowed turf. France versus Romania. The Olympic Games of 1924 opened on the 4th of May with a match between France and Romania. Playing its first 15, the French notched a 61-3 victory over the smaller Eastern European team, scoring 13 tries, including 4 by the fine Stade Francais winger Adolphe Jauregui. After the match, another round of trouble started over the referee for the France-USA match. An earlier selection of British Admiral Percy Royds was deemed unacceptable by US team manager Sam Goodman. The dispute degraded into the French no longer providing any practice fields for the team, so the Americans found themselves apart. Fanning the flames, the French press published an article by a Paris city councillor questioning the amateur status of the American players. The Americans invited the Frenchmen to come down to the pitch to discuss the matter. To make matters worse, an argument started over the French Olympic Committee's ruling that the American side could not film the match against Romania that weekend. A French company had been awarded sole rights to filming the Olympics, and an American request to film the match was flatly denied. A meeting on the 8th did not resolve the issue. Sir Sam Goodman told the French organizers that the US might pull out of the games, adding fuel to the fire. The American players' clothes were robbed during the day's training session. Even though a French attendant had been posted, the team lost about $4,000 worth of cash and possessions. Americans. Cleveland and his teammates were not very happy, and because of the treatment in the press, the American side was now being cursed and spat on in the streets of Paris. The American expatriate community in Paris was even staying well clear of them. The French press were now whipped up fierce anti-American sentiment in Paris. The next day, the French agreed to allow the Romanian match to be filmed for historical and educational purposes. A selection featuring only 6 of the U.S. starting 15 was also announced for the match. USA vs Romania. On Sunday, the 11th of May, the U.S. pounded Romania 37-0 at Columbia's Stadium, with Norman at fly-half, Richard Hyland at center, and Jack Patrick at flanker. The U.S. ran rampant through the Romanians, scoring 9 tries. Fullback Charlie Doe had a good day kicking, scoring 13 points. With the impressive win, though, a difficult situation was brewing. Each time the Americans touched the ball, the French crowd of about 6,000 booed and hissed. Conversely, they cheered and screamed each time the Romanians gained any possession, even though the Americans never let the Romanians within kicking distance of their own goal, and won every line-out and all but one scrum. And though everyone felt that the Americans would play a harsh, physical match, both the American and French sporting press noted the lack of violence and the skilled nature of U.S. play, coupled with the size and fitness. Some of the French press even conceded that the fans had been unfair at the match. Still, the odds were set at 5-1 against the U.S. with a 20-point spread in the upcoming match with France. 2 days later, the issue of the finals referee was settled when Sam Freethie of Wales was selected. That day, the team also moved from their hotel to the newly constructed Olympic housing. It seemed that the hotel's proprietor became upset that night before due to a little college cheering and rollicking by the American players. The final. During the final between France and the United States at Columbia's Stadium, French fans booed and hissed the American team for the remainder of the game after star player Adolphe Jauregui was flattened by a hard tackle 2 minutes after the opening whistle, leaving him unconscious with blood pouring down his face and having to be carried off the field on a stretcher. In the second half, French fans threw bottles and rocks onto the field and at American players and officials. Wild brawls broke out in the stands. U.S. reserve Gideon Nelson was knocked unconscious after being hit in the face by a walking stick, and French fans invaded the pitch at the final whistle, leaving the French team aided by the police to protect the Americans. At the medal ceremony, the Star-Spangled Banner was drowned out by the booing and hissing of French fans, and the American team had to be escorted to the locker room under police protection. Results: USA, Charles Austin; Romania, Jean-Henri Manu. Medalists. Final ranking: United States, France, Romania.